everybody, it's comedian Jen Kober. Welcome to my next episode of my hilarious new podcast, Bitchin' Over Biscuits, where we tackle the topic of a different genre of podcast every week with our special surprise celebrity guest. This week's celebrity guest is one of the OG lesbian comedians of our time. She was the first openly gay comedian to appear on HBO in 1994. She's one of my dear friends, one of the funniest people you'll ever meet. Put your hands together, folks, for Suzanne Westenhoefer.
All right.
The fans are going wild.
Yeah, you hear?
Grown men are crying and women are throwing underwear.
Just like Tom Jones. Are you old enough to remember that?
Oh, yeah.
No.
Oh, yeah, you what? Women
Today,
threw their underwear on the stage at him.
Mm-hmm.
You did?
No.
Women did.
Women
I was
did.
like 6.
Fair enough. Fair enough. This week's genre of podcast that we will be tackling with Miss Suzanne Westenhoefer is sports. Sports. We figured you would, as a lesbian, have some insight into this genre. Is that true, Suzanne?
It is not true, Jen. I don't know if we're allowed to curse on this show.
Oh, yeah.
You are. You are.
Let me just tell you something. I don't know anything about sports. I can't fix anything. And my honest feeling is if I didn't fuck girls, they wouldn't even let me be a lesbian.
I saw a video today of a girl and she said, listen, I have dated all kinds of women. I am a card-carrying member of the lesbian party, but I'm not one of those mud-riding lesbians.
Mud riding? What's that mean?
What?
You know those lesbians that have like big trucks and wear camouflage and like ride in the mud for fun and sport?
Well, I have to be honest with you. No, I have not seen them as yet here in Los Angeles.
Suzanne is coming to us all the way from Los Angeles, California, to be part of our Bitchin' Over Biscuits family. Now, as you know, while we are excited to talk to you, Suzanne, the real star of this show is always the biscuits. The biscuits. And so today, because my lovely lady is not in town with me, sadly, my heart breaks.
Good.
She usually makes me homemade biscuits for this show.
Come
no
on.
joke. I swear to God. She's a baker. You know that. She loves to do it. But when she's not here, I go to my guilty pleasure, which is the McDonald's sausage biscuit that I get an extra sausage patty on. So it's like a double sausage whammy. It's not terrible. I'm not going to lie. It's pretty flippin' spectacular. Nothing compared to hers. But it does well in a pinch. Suzanne,
they didn't get to be McDonald's. They didn't get to be McDonald's by screwing up. I mean, they have to have something good.
Exactly. What's your biscuit of choice, Suzanne?
Suzanne Westenhoefer is proud and yet slightly ashamed to say to you that I do not care for biscuits at all. I dislike the way they feel in your mouth.
Interesting.
Whoa! I have never heard this before.
I know.
You're a lesbian who does not like biscuits.
Correct.
But you do like how they feel in your mouth, which is
I don't like how they feel.
Oh, you don't like. Okay.
And they're flaky, weird, and
they can be a little. I don't usually get the flaky ones. I'm more of a crumbly biscuit kind of gal.
I like the crunchy bits.
I like the flaky ones when I get the ones out of the can, because then I like to put squeeze butter in between the layers. But Brooke doesn't make a flaky biscuit. She makes a nice big fat cat head of a biscuit. It's fluffy like a cloud. What is your breakfast food of choice there, Suzanne?
I like the Egg McMuffin.
Oh, that
enough.
counts. I could say that's a breakfast.
The McMuffin,
biscuit.
not the biscuit. The McMuffin. I prefer a muffin over a biscuit. True story.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Mike, what kind of a biscuit are you sporting this morning?
Okay, I tried my hand again, making my own fucking biscuits, and just have a look at that. Not very appetizing. It just fell apart.
Well, But here's the truth. Biscuits are like pizza. Even a shitty biscuit is still pretty fucking good.
Right. This one I scrambled eggs and I have grass-fed butter, no jelly, just grass-fed butter, eggs, and my darling homemade biscuit.
I've never
I
heard
love
of
that.
grass-fed butter. I've heard of grass-fed cows, and I
Well,
understand
they
that's
make
where we
grass-fed
get
butter.
Okay.
Yeah, they use their milk to make the grass-fed butter.
It's good.
I
It's
just
a
read a
richer
whole
butter.
article about how much better that is for you, and I was like, look, if you can find a way to make butter better for me, I'm okay with that.
I love butter.
Let's do it.
Love it.
I
I
happen
love-
to have a very good friend who loves butter so much that in my freezer right now is probably easily 6 pounds of butter
What?
in case she visits.
How does she likes it frozen, or she just likes it so much you freeze it so you have it?
I freeze it so I have it because if she comes here, I don't know how much she's going to want. You know her. It's Kathy.
Oh, Kathy,
and she's
Kathy
skinny.
is a skinny thing.
Skinny little, yep.
She's
loves
so
butter.
skinny.
Does she
Lives
just
that-
eat it like, or does she just put it on everything?
I think she puts it on everything. Now listen, I haven't lived with her, so I haven't seen her what she's doing by herself. I don't know if she's just taking those little sticks and gnawing on them.
You laugh, but I had a friend who used to do that. She used to take the stick of butter and unpeel it like a banana, and she'd hold on to the bottom half of it, and she would dip it in cinnamon sugar, and then she'd lick it all off, and then she'd dip it again in the cinnamon sugar, and she would just eat butter.
I don't know if
I mean, I
could do
think
that.
this girl was like my best friend. I was like, did we just become
Was
best
it you, Jen? Jen, was it you?
You're the friend.
I wish it was. I wish it was. I love squeezed butter.
I like
the
spray.
parquet and like the
Yeah.
squeezy thing.
Which isn't
that
butter.
makes me happy.
Oh, I like
Oh,
the
you
spray.
use a spray?
Oh, I love that spray. I don't love necessarily the taste of it. It's just so awesome to be able to spray I don't like a mess. So just be able to spray the veggie.
I love that. Well, folks, we've postponed it as long as we can. Eventually, we have to start bitching about sports. Now, what I would like to bitch about, and I know you can get behind this argument, Suzanne, whether you watch sports or not.
I've seen some and I've been to games.
Right. But tell me this. Here's my bitch. I am upset that women's sports get such a mediocre response in this country when I have watched those games. Those games are every bit as exciting and amazing as the men's games. Why can't we get people behind women's sports? Tell me, Suzanne.
I know why. Patriarchy. Apparently,
with the P word.
men rule everything and they make all the rules. So therefore,
So they get to play all the sports.
and they get to get all the excitement. But can I tell you this? Because my girlfriend, partner, wife is an extraordinary person and has been taking care of me so well, especially in the last couple of years. I had some freak accidents. I got us tickets to see Caitlin Clark play the LA when she came with her team, the Fever.
Yeah, sure.
And played whatever. She played the LA Sparks down in what we used to call the Staples Center.
So you guys went to the game. And have you ever been to a men's NBA game?
Yes.
And was this one more exciting and better?
Yes. However, the only men's basketball team that I ever saw, and it was in New Jersey at the Meadowlands. It was a long, long time ago. And no, so I saw, yes, it would have been the Nets, but they were playing the team from Chicago who had I'm so old. They had a brand new player they were all excited about, Michael Jordan.
Oh, wow. Wow.
I'm 107 years old. And I had great seats.
So I bet you did. Here's my question. Did you ever play sports as a kid?
No.
Nothing.
I played what we called kickball when I couldn't talk. when I couldn't talk the kids into acting out plays and musicals in the neighborhood.
I loved a good game of kickball because here's the thing. I'm not a great runner. I know that comes as a surprise, but I'm not a great runner. But I can kick the shit out of one of those playground balls.
Yeah.
So I would just kick it into the next county, you know what I mean? The next parish over.
Then you could
and then I could just take the bases as slowly as I wanted to while like rallying myself as a champion because, you know,
the people in the
sports are
outfield
too
are like,
much.
let's go. I have to shave again. Yeah. I never played on a team. Janine, my girl, has actually pointed out that I don't think that's been good because I don't know how to be a team player even.
Oh, like you don't even cooperate well with others?
Not unless I'm in charge.
Well,
If
you're
I'm in
leadership.
charge, yeah,
You've got leadership qualities. You can't be a follower.
correct. Bingo.
Now,
I
when
did
you went to this,
gymnastics.
gymnastics counts? Yes, it counts.
Okay, I did gymnastics. We weren't a team because it was a small school and we didn't have that many, and so we were a club.
Oh, and that's the men saying, "Oh, you girls can have a little club." It's the patriarchy again.
Yeah.
I agree with you. It's the men have fucked up a lot of things.
Well, I didn't want to be the one to say it,
I'll
although
say
I
it.
have.
I'm calling you out, men.
When you were at the WNBA game, it's like you're not going to find more drama than you're going to find in the WNBA. I was watching a game the other night, and one of the players exceeded. She broke a record, and the record she broke was the record of her ex-wife for most scoring.
Weird.
Right? She beat her ex-wife, and she beat her on a pass that she got from her current fiance.
What?
And then somebody fouled the ex-girlfriend, and she went after the person on her own team that fouled her. Y'all, this is better drama than you're going to find on any Vanderpump Rules, Bravo bullshit, and it's happening in the WNBA right in front of us in real time.
Yeah, you're never going to get that with the men's games.
No,
nobody in the NBA is dating. What?
Well, that they let
they
public.
would admit to.
Right.
Oh,
there
enough.
are plenty in there. They're just not saying anything because it's bad for their job.
But don't you think even if there were players in the NBA on the down low, they wouldn't be with other
a player
players?
on their team? Yeah, I do.
Like,
oh, it's easier. You see, you'll hook up on those
games.
games.
A lot, yeah.
You can hook up and then go back to your hometown.
That
would work. I have.
Mike's written a paper on it.
I've done some studies on it. I think that's perfect for men. I know plenty of gay men, and having a hookup in every city, and if they're on the other team, it's easier because you're already there. You have the foreplay of sweating against each other and slamming in each other on the court, and then it's a frenzy. It's wham bam, nothing but net after the game.
So, Mike, you're not a homosexual, is what you're saying to us. But
I'm right.
I'm hearing a lot
of thought,
homosexual envy.
Mike identifies very fluid, even though he is completely straight.
There's so much to experience in life. You should never limit yourself with one label.
I agree.
That's what I'm going to say.
No, I'm a lesbian. I would just want the one. I want the one label.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
because nobody ever thinks I am, and I have to tell them all the time. So I think
you got all that long hair, Suzanne, and I've seen you in a dress. It's just not very lesbian behavior.
No, and I wear makeup and all the other madness.
Let me tell you something, Mike. Doesn't just wear makeup. I could say that makeup is a sport for Suzanne Westenhoefer. She checks a bag everywhere we go. We travel together all the time, do shows together all the time. She checks a bag every time, no matter, even if it's just for one night, because she brings so many creams and goops and elixirs and serums and such with her because
all
she's
kinds
that
of different
girly.
Yep.
And see, it shows you don't have to be the stereotype. to be who you are. You can love to be.
Not that
Okay,
there's
yeah.
anything wrong with the stereotype.
Nothing.
No,
No, fuck. I just dug myself a hole.
I like the stereotype. Those are the girls I'm attracted to. It does work
So
out that way.
your wife played college ball.
Wait, I know how to do it. I memorized this years ago. Janine played Division I women's basketball for James Madison University. She was recruited and she got a scholarship for all 4 years to play.
Wow. That's a good school.
And
And
look,
she got a
Janine,
scholarship. She didn't have to pay for any of her college. And I say this with respect, but I was pretty good at improv. I still had to pay for all my college.
well, because they can't sell 30,000 tickets to an improv show and sell concessions. That's why. You know what's so funny is her wife is one of the nicest people you will ever meet. And we met playing dominoes, right? On a trip together. It was raining and so we couldn't be at the pools doing all the things you do on a vacation. So the lesbians taught me how to play dominoes. This was the big, and I would dare say that was the sport because it was so competitive. But Janine, she was a college level athlete. She's not that competitive. She was really kind about it all and wanted everybody to do well. And, you can just tell, the athletes that are like really into the sportsmanship of it, right? And it was lovely to see because I am not good at sports, but I am competitive and cutthroat, and I will trip you on a basketball court. I will hit you with the elbow. I play a little bit dirty because I feel like I kind of have to because I have the disadvantage of being the size of the basketball. We are the same shape. I am not good at the running part, and so I'm a little feistier on the court.
I wonder if that's what would happen to me too. I don't know. Did you play sports in high school?
I played basketball my freshman year very briefly until I realized this is just at a level that is above my athletic ability, and found the speech team, and then that was it. I was like, I can just talk for trophies. Boom, let's do that. Let's make talking a sport, and then I'm going to beat everybody's ass. And then I won nationals a few times. So I was like,
back when forensics didn't have anything to do with murder.
Exactly. You are correct.
That's the team I was on too, as well.
Yay. Yeah, and where did you grow up, Suzanne?
I grew up in a small town on a river in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania.
Amish country.
Yes, I myself am not Amish.
I'm going to guess that we could have guessed that, but I'm glad.
You'd be surprised how many people.
You cleared it up. Now, Amish people can't play sports, can they? Are they allowed?
In their own little world, because they're not. Lancaster County is what they call old order Amish, so super strict. You can see them out there playing what we would call stickball.
Right. But they're only playing it with other Amish people. There's no no intermingling with the secular folk.
No. I don't know. I could find out. I lived there for a while. Maybe some Mennonites play some of the Amish.
Maybe, yeah. The away team.
It's the championships of the Mennonites versus the Amish. Everyone's got their bonnets on tonight, folks. It's the killer out here in the cornfields of Lancaster County.
Tailgating with buggies.
The horses are lined up outside the fence. I was in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and there's only one stoplight in this town, okay? And it's like a flashing yellow.
There's a whole lot of towns like that in Lancaster County.
Just keep going. You don't need to stop here. And we were stopped, and I'm like, what's the holdup? And it was a horse and buggy. We were behind a horse and buggy, and I wanted to scream at these Amish people, but I don't even know if they speak English.
Plus,
I was talking to one of them, looked exactly like Abraham Lincoln. I am not kidding you. She was huge.
Was it the
She
hat?
She was a big woman. It's that beard, no mustache look that they have,
Yeah.
right?
Creepy.
Very
creepy.
Abraham Lincoln.
You know, the only town that you're supposed to stop in, and it's very popular, and this is a true story. There used to be a sign for this town right a couple blocks from where I lived, because I lived right off this little tiny highway. But the town you stop in is Intercourse.
I know Intercourse. I have a magnet from there.
Oh.
It's near Hershey, because my sister and I stopped in Hershey to go to the Hershey factory where they make all the
Right.
chocolate. It's right there in Hershey, Pennsylvania, and you have to
Correct.
drive through Intercourse to get to the chocolate. And I thought, well, this is very, very fitting. I often go through Intercourse to get the chocolate. Fuck me and then feed me. That's how I feel.
Well, they had the sign on the highway that said Intercourse next right all through my teen years. And then they got so tired of having to replace it. Because
people kept stealing it.
Hello? Who doesn't want a sign that says Intercourse next right? So now it says something like Route 283 next right. You're like, it is so boring.
Wouldn't you like to have been on the sports team for Intercourse? Like Intercourse High School? What was their mascot?
Would have to be the Trojans.
The Trojans?
Has to be. The Intercourse penises.
No, I don't like the way that drips off the tongue.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't sound very fearsome.
You know what's so funny is I did a show in Oklahoma, and my show was in Liberal, Kansas. But Liberal, Kansas is between two towns in Oklahoma, Hooker and Beaver. And I thought, well, what can you be when you're between Hooker and Beaver except liberal? You might as well be. Liberal, Kansas is where Dorothy's house is. The house from The Wizard of Oz.
Oh, wow.
It's right there on Pancake Boulevard. You can go see the house. They've painted a little yellow brick road that leads up to it. It's adorable. It's all that town has to offer. In Liberal.
Between Hooker and Beaver.
Between Hooker and Beaver.
I was a little concerned about your trip to Hershey, because you said you went through Intercourse, because as I remember, you can look on a map. Intercourse is between two towns, Paradise and Bird in Hand.
Oh, Intercourse.
I don't know how you went to Hershey, but someone was playing with you and driving you.
We weren't coming from. We were already on the road in. I think we were already in Lancaster.
Oh, okay.
Because we were there for a conference, and then we were going from there to Hershey. And girl, God only knows how we ended up anywhere, because that was before all the. If you wanted a map thing, you had to have one of those TomToms, right? And I was too. I refused to buy one of those things because I knew they just got you lost. So my sister and I literally had printed out MapQuest directions. And we were trying to figure out how to get places. So who knows how we ended up anywhere. I'm surprised we got to Hershey at all.
Yeah, the smell usually brings you.
Yeah.
Can you smell it?
Downtown does smell like
chocolate. Can. It smells like chocolate, that whole town. It's very Willy Wonka-esque. It's very, you're just like.
And the lamps are Hershey Kisses.
Yep.
Oh, I need to go. I've never been.
It's an adorable little town. It is an adorable little town. And they have a cafe there that puts Hershey chocolate in all of the dishes. So like there's like a mole sauce on the right. There's like a little chocolate in the salad. They like shaved chocolate. They put chocolate into all of the dishes.
I could do a vacation there.
Yeah, it's a real good time. And the Hershey factory is adorable, and there's rides, and you can make your own Hershey bar. I mean, it's quite nice.
But they don't let you. When I was little, when I was like 5, 6, and 7, and we would go on trips to Hershey Park, to the Hershey Chocolate Factory, because it was like 35 minutes from my high school. You know what I mean? They used to let you go through the factory, and then at the end, and I realized they would let you dip your fingers into these big giant vats of But then they figured out that might be filthy.
Yeah, I think so.
It was the 70s. It was a different.
Different times.
Yeah. You can't just stick your finger anywhere these days.
Now,
No.
what high school did you go to, Suzanne?
I went to Columbia High School
And you
in
were the
town of
fighting-
Columbia.
What were you guys? What was your mascot?
We were the Crimson Tide, which I never
Ooh.
understood. We're afraid of the beach. We're afraid of the water coming on the beach. I didn't get it.
And it's crimson water. It's like bloody water. I never understood that. I was like, why is the tide red?
We were the poorest town by the river, and so for years, decades, they called us river rats.
Oh.
So when I was like a junior in high school, somebody got the brilliant idea, and we were all for it, to call ourselves, let's take it on. And we got t-shirts made, river rats, and we made up a song, I'm a river rat, now a river rat, you know what I mean, whatever. And that sort of became the unofficial mascot. We were the river rats.
Oh, that's
I
funny.
like it. You owned it. That's cool.
And those are the kind of schools that have good teams, right? Those schools that have like, tiny. Did you guys have a good team?
We had a very good, we were known, the only thing we had three. We were a pretty good football team, but sometimes that's rough because in that area, when you're playing against high schools that have farm kids, farm kids, they play football. The other thing we were very good at and known for was wrestling. That's a big deal all through Pennsylvania. And also our women's field hockey team.
Field hockey.
See, we never play in Louisiana. You would think that field hockey is the only kind of hockey you can play because there was no ice anywhere.
Right.
But field hockey was just like 2 days during the 6 weeks of PE when we did. It was nothing. It was like one of those old wiffle balls and some sticks, and we hit it around. We didn't really get into field hockey because it wasn't anything we knew because we'd never watched regular hockey because it wasn't a thing we had.
Both my sisters played field hockey from 7th through 12th grade because we had, junior varsity and varsity. And it was field hockey was a very big deal.
That's so funny.
I did not play.
Well, there are several sports that never really made it big in my part of the South, at least where Mike and I are from. We never got any kind of lacrosse.
I was gonna say, did you guys play lacrosse?
No lacrosse, no rugby. We barely had soccer. And really the only reason we had a soccer team was because of all of the exchange students who came over from Europe. Were like, why you don't have football? And we're like, we do have football. They're like, no, you don't. They started a soccer club and a soccer team. Like, I think our high school didn't have a soccer team until I was there.
Yeah.
I think
we
these
didn't have
kids started it.
Football and baseball and basketball.
It was the top three.
About.
Football, baseball, basketball. If you played anything else, you were queer.
True. Or if you were in the speech team, you were queer.
Well, the speech kids actually were.
Or if you happen to be in all
we were
the
a little
plays.
different.
If you happen to be in all the plays.
I love the plays.
Yes. All the musicals, all the plays.
Me and all the boys.
Yeah.
I was fine being called a queer. It didn't bother me them making fun of me.
Well, you have to always consider the source, I always thought. And I always watched the jocks sort of be, mean to the non-jocks. And I always thought, really? That's the kid you want to make fun of? That kid's going to own companies someday. You're going to be begging that kid for a job when your dumbass gets out of like trade school. And he's going to remember that you shoved him in a locker, you dumbass. Like, it never made sense to me that the jocks, and I think I will say this, that while the kids that played sports, certainly there were, the dickheads and the assholes, there were. But for the most part, the boys in my high school, because I had to help a lot of them. I was one of the smart kids that was always tutoring them and writing papers for them and such, and so when those things would come up, they were always very kind about it, right? They were grateful to have somebody that could help them, because if they didn't make the grades or do well on things, they couldn't play football.
Right.
So some of them, I think, realized, wow, this is not my strong suit. let me glom onto one of these smart people and be
How,
nice.
how many kids were, both of you, how many kids were in your graduating class?
Probably
Around.
just under 1,000.
And Mike?
400,
Okay, I lose.
400, 500.
81.
Oh, maybe mine was
No,
closer
yours
to
were
400
1,000.
too.
Yeah, you were known unless you graduated from, some other
No,
place.
I
No, we were
didn't.
both
So
around
let's say
400.
400. We graduated from high schools that were very similar in size.
But you said 82?
81.
81. Wow.
Yeah.
What was
We
that
didn't
like?
have junior high. We only had one building, 7th through 12th grade. So, because there
Oh.
was, yeah, we were a small town.
Well, but
How did
again, I loved going to. I didn't go to a big school until I got to high school. I was in private school before that, and I really
Oh, smell
loved.
you.
So I liked smaller classrooms. It was that public school in Louisiana ain't great. I mean, I hate to say it, but
I believe I've read that.
our educational system was lacking a lot, and so we always went to private schools before high school. And when I got to high school and got into high school and realized kind of what it was like to be around that many people at once, it was hard to, and I'm sure it's why I became so vociferous and attention grabbing at that age, is because I wasn't getting any focus from anyone because there were so many kids.
Right.
Right. I was a big fish in a little pond, and then they threw me into this big pond, and I was like, what the fuck do I do here? Oh, I got it. I'll just talk. I'll just talk and be funny, and then everyone will like me, and everyone will know me, and all will be fine.
Everybody who
sometimes
my town was in
Yeah.
our town, like a mile, mile
Oh
by
wow.
mile. Everybody who lived there went to the same schools. And once you were in high school, that was 7th grade, the only ones that weren't there were what we called fish eaters, the Catholics, who joined us in 9th grade. They joined us in 9th grade.
Oh, right, because their school had a middle school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it
Fish
probably only
eaters.
went up to middle school. Isn't that funny?
And they couldn't do math and they couldn't do science, but they all knew like Bible verses. Do you know what
Who'd
I
have
mean?
thought that the lesbian would say fish eaters and she'd be talking about Catholics?
I was thinking it. I wasn't going to say it.
You didn't see it coming.
You are hilarious. You are hilarious. When you went to the WNBA game, Suzanne, when you were there, it was packed, right? It was crowded.
They said 19,000 people.
Wow.
And I recall in the 90s going to LA Sparks games. I went because lesbians had events there or would try to have events there. And I remember I went to maybe 10, 12 LA Sparks games when they first came out. I'll bet there wasn't 50 people.
Oh, man, really?
And now to see it packed like that, and people,
that's amazing.
And both teams, the Sparks and the Fever, is it that Caitlin plays for?
Yeah.
Yes.
They suck, but it didn't matter. Everybody was, I thought I was just, because my age group, watching, and I've been out since I was 19, watching women's sports finally get any kind of recognition.
Right.
People paying money to go see. I'm thrilled. I'm the first woman I dated was like 9 years older than I am, and when she played basketball in high school, women weren't allowed to dribble. You had to bounce it twice.
Oh,
if you
yes.
twice, you had to pass it.
That's what my mom told me. I remember my mom telling me that.
What?
Stuff. Yeah. Isn't that?
They weren't even allowed to,
crazy.
and they had to play in skirts.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I learned that from A League of Their Own.
Oh yeah.
When they made those girls play ball in the skirts, right? Like that's a thing. And I think it's amazing. Down in Louisiana, the LSU women's basketball team were the national champions very recently, and a couple of the players from that team have become a very big deal around town. Like Baton Rouge is very, loyal and supportive of this women's basketball team. And it's so funny to me to see these big old redneck boys supporting women's sports.
Right. Is that the team that has the coach,
the lady coach,
the woman coach who wears the fun outfits?
Yep.
Yes.
I love women's sports, but we never were taught growing up. We were never exposed to it. That's TV. No one would promote it, and so we grew up thinking it wasn't important. But like softball, college softball, I love watching that.
I do too.
For the sportsmanship, for the skill, not because it's a bunch of girls in tight pants. It's it's a really good sport, and women's basketball. And it drives me crazy that I still see people debating this, like men saying, well, y'all need to quit bitching because you're not getting paid enough because you're not bringing in enough money. You're not popular.
Blah, blah, blah.
Right. It's the same. It drives me fucking crazy to hear men say shit like that.
Don't you? Did you ever see I saw the movie because I wasn't alive when it was happening, but Battle of the Sexes, where Billie Jean King, who is just
yes.
I have to lie down a minute because I was in 6th grade.
But I watched the movie, and she really made strides for the equality of pay for women in the sport of tennis. And when she did that Battle of the Sexes, I mean, that was so. I mean, just watching the movie, and I'm watching a fake thing, like, it was still, I got chills watching it. And I was like, I can imagine at that time with so much that was going on in the women's lib movement. It was so much that was going on with the ERA, all of that stuff was all happening.
Helen Reddy was singing I Am Woman without a bra on.
We did a podcast with someone who did not know who Helen Reddy was.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Didn't know who they were. I had to tell her who Helen Reddy was.
That hurts my Delta Dawn.
I know. I was like, girl, didn't you ever see Pete's Dragon? She goes, what? I'm like, Pete's Dragon? You never saw Pete's Dragon? What the fuck is wrong with you? Where were you raised?
Let me tell you something about a story about my girl that I love so much. That shows you how wonderful she is. She went to college on the scholarship, the whole Title IX thing, right? When I introduced her to Billie Jean King, she shook her hand and she said, I want to thank you because it's because of you I was able to get to college and my family paid for college. Like, she thanked her so gracefully. And not like all funny, like, oh my God, Billie Jean, but was just so, you could see Billie Jean was like,
wow.
Yeah, as she should be.
So cool.
I mean, that woman was breaking down barriers before we ever even knew there were barriers to break down. I mean, and I think that tennis is one of the few sports where women are as respected as the men.
First player in tennis to ever win $1 million, Martina Navratilova.
Oh,
wow.
Oh, yes. I loved watching her play.
God, I could still watch her. I bet she'd still beat the shit out of most players. I mean, she's so good. Good.
That was such, I mean, that was in the 80s when she was really at the top and she was owning it. I remember I was a huge fan because I love tennis so much.
Oh, yeah.
No, I didn't know anything about tennis.
But that was a good finish.
I was, everything in the newspapers all the time was just, they were calling her a man and just the homophobia. She wasn't out. She wasn't really in, but they were so horrible to her because she wasn't Chrissy Everett with the little fancy pants on.
Right. I used to always think they were together. When I was a kid, I thought they were together because one of them was the manly one and one of them was the girly one, and you always saw them together.
Yeah, good point.
Like in my head, they were girlfriends.
They could have been.
They are friends now. I want you to know that. But I can't wait to tell Martina that. she's gonna shit herself.
It's so true. That's what I thought. And
Because
that was a time when Steffi Graf was coming up and started playing. She was also very masculine. There was a lot of talk about her, and then she ended up marrying Andre Agassi. Right? Like
who I thought was gay.
Femi.
Right. I thought he was gay.
He's got the long hair. Like, exactly. So God bless the tennis people, because they really did. They were the first sport to embrace women on
absolutely.
on that big of a level. And it's still probably not equal.
No. But it's way closer, it's way better. And that's true. Tennis has been much more equal-ish
than anything else.
Yeah. I wonder if
and they still have a long ways to go too. I'm sure of it. But that is the sport that I could point to and say that is the most I have ever seen women get, as far as accolades and exposure and
a fairly equal amount of money.
You could put those Williams sisters on TV and everybody's going to watch, no matter what.
Oh, hell yeah.
And I don't think there are athletes like that on the men's side. I couldn't name a male player right now. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm sure they're good and I'm sure they're fine, but those, Venus and Serena in my head could do no wrong, and I would watch them play any day of the week, anyone.
I know I'm a lesbian, but I always thought watching women's tennis is just more exciting. It was more fun.
I agree.
I always enjoyed it. But then I feel like, well, I had the hots for Martina Navratilova for like 15 years, so that doesn't count. But
now, did you tell her that when you met her?
Not the day I met her. Well, what happened is she came and saw me do my show where I was talking about, and I didn't know she's there, my crush on Martina Navratilova, and I just want to watch her bend over to receive serve. And,
man.
And then late the next day, it was the 1993 March on Washington. The next day, I'm just standing around like a person because I'm going to be one of the MCs, and I'm just backstage, waiting to get started. And Martina walks up to me, right? And I had also said in my show, I just want to lick that vein that sticks out in her forearm.
Man.
And so she walked up to me and she went like this.
No.
Oh my God.
And I
Did
was
you
like,
lick it?
I did not. Oh my God. But it was back in the day when I wore a headband. I had a huge spiral perm and I had this huge headband on to hold back all my hair. And I was facing into the sun, and I'm sort of a white person. And she was talking to me and I was talking to her, and I had her undivided attention for like 15, 20 minutes. There was no way I was going to move to get myself out of the sun. So I realized that night I had like 2nd and 3rd degree burns on my forehead.
Oh.
I fucking damaged. Oh my God, it was so awful.
You got skin cancer just to talk to Martina Navratilova.
Fuck yeah.
And that is the lengths at which we are willing to go to for sports. Suzanne Westenhoefer, thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Bitchin' Over Biscuits. If you want to find Suzanne online, you need to go to SuzanneW.com, SuzanneW.com. You can find her on Instagram at Suzanne.Westenhoefer. I suggest you just put it into your Google, because you're going to spell Westenhoefer in some insane way like I did. And Google's going to be like, did you mean? Because Google knows who you are.
Google will fix it.
Clearly, I'm like, this name is too German for me. I'm like, are there 6 S's, 2 F's, 4 H's? Is there a little umlaut thing? I don't know what's happening.
I think we got rid of the umlaut when we came over.
I like that. So on Instagram at Suzanne.Westenhoefer, it doesn't hurt for you to go look up her appearance on HBO from 1994. She was
94.
94. First openly gay comedian to ever appear on HBO. You were the first person to say it. I watched you say it, and I was like, I'm gonna do that. So you were what? You were like 8 years old. I was little. I was young. I was not 8, but
not
I was
that young.
But
And if
I
you
was,
want to have a really good time and you see that Jen Kober and Suzanne Westenhoefer are appearing together, come see that show.
That is
Yes.
exactly
The
right.
one we just did. Come on, that show rocked.
Yeah, we did a show together in Minneapolis a couple weeks ago,
Oh.
and it was just beyond fun. Suzanne's
Fun.
still flipping funny. I mean, she had everybody, and it's so great because when you do a show with Suzanne Westenhoefer, the entire audience is older lesbians. It's just short-haired women in culottes with matching plaid shirts. It's adorably fun. We had the best time. Thank
A
you
lot
so
of
much,
Tommy Bahama.
Suzanne. Exactly right. Thank you for joining us. Remember that we are here every week for your enjoyment. Bitchin' over biscuits. We're picking a different genre of podcast every week. Join us next week. Who knows who our surprise celebrity guest will be, and who knows what topic we'll be delving into. And you can find out by downloading and subscribing to this podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Find us on Instagram at the BOB Podcast or online at thebobpod.com. We would love to have you listen and laugh. Thank you so much for joining us this week as we discussed sports with our special guest, Suzanne Westenhoefer. This was a load of fun.
Oh, this was fun.
Even though I don't like biscuits, I like you guys.
Oh, we like you too.
We like you too, Suzanne. You come back anytime. My name is Jen Kober. That's Suzanne Westenhoefer. That's Mike Brignac, and we are out.